My friends, welcome to my channel Focusing FreeCAD. Today I want to show you how I built this model and animated it in the integrated assembly workbench of FreeCAD. This vertical shaft here is the driving force which is rotating the arm, and that one is causing this collared handle to go up and down on this bar. So let's go ahead and start working on it. Today I have FreeCAD 1.1 developers version, which is released very recently, last week of March 2025. And if you are using Assembly Workbench in the FreeCAD 1 version, just know that the recent weekly builds are much better compared to the stable release of FreeCAD 1 version. With that, I plan to show you how I built each of these components, and then I will start building this model. So this is going to be a long video. I may have to split it in two parts. The first part would be building these components, and the second part will be building the assembly. So first thing first, I am going to open up a new file and I am going to save it before I lose it. And then I want to start focusing on different parts that I want to put it into this assembly. And first thing, I will be building this whole handle, the bent handle, and I will be using part workbench to build all of these components. So in the part workbench, let's start with a sketch, and let's do that on XZ face, which is the front face on this cube. All right, and now we start with our base shape, which is a rectangle. So let's take a rectangle, and I want to delete this lower end of this rectangle, and also I want to make these two ends curved. So let's take the fillet tool and select these two edges. So that's a fillet. Let's do the same thing on the other side. And now we have our base shape, which is rounded on the two corners, and then it's empty at the lower part. Now I want to refine this shape by applying some more constraints. And you can see that on the left panel on the constraint table, you have already applied some of the constraints. And so in addition to those, we want to add more so we can refine this a little bit more. First thing first, I want to say these two, this point and this point, the two termini of this handle should be symmetric by the axis. So I want to take these 2 points and then select the middle point, the one that I want to make it symmetric by. So now we have 3 points in selection. So, and then hit S on the keyboard or go to the toolbar, find constraint symmetric S. There. Maybe this is the high time I make my clicks visualized on the screen. Okay. So now we have this symmetric by the origin or the vertical axis, either way. And I can see that these two corners are not equal. So I want to select these two curves and then hit equal from the toolbar or E from the keyboard. So now they are equal. Maybe I can apply some radius too. So hit one of these edges. Now that they are equal, I can apply one constraint, the radius, the numerical value, and it will be applied to both of those. Select this and hit D on the keyboard or dimension tool from the toolbar. So D, and then click somewhere, and now it says enter the value. So 15 and hit enter. Right. Now we say on the solve bar message on the left panel, it says 2 more degrees of freedom left. It means that we have to add 2 more restrictions to make these edges fixed or decided. Now this whole shape is undecided in 2 directions. One of them is how long it could be. Another one is how high it can jump, kind of thing. So let's say I want to make this total 55 millimeter high. So this point or this edge and the origin, the distance between them would be 55. Now, when applying a dimension between a vertex and the origin, you don't have to select both of those. You can select only the vertex and hit D on the keyboard, and that will give you option to do dimensions from the origin. So now we want to go to vertical. I want to say this is 55 millimeter. And another one would be how wide we can make it. So we can say this is 100 millimeter. So one way of doing that is taking these two vertices and apply D in between, or another one is just take one of these points and hit D on the keyboard and keep half the length that we want, say 50, right? There. So now we have a fully constrained sketch. This is an open sketch, so which means that these points are not meeting together to create an area. It is an edge like so, but it is a fully constrained sketch. Now we can go ahead and close it up, and we can see that actually this sketch we created on XY plane. I don't know why. I was planning to make it on XZ plane. So let's correct our course. I want to go to Sketcher and select this sketch and come here. It says reorient sketch. We want to reorient it and we want to make it on XZ plane. So that was my bad, but we were able to fix it. So now on the little cube on the right corner here, if you hit front, you can see that the sketch is created on XZ plane right here. Okay. So we got that sketch created. Let's go ahead and rename that. I'm going to say sketch handle profile or handle path. Okay. I want to do one thing, being proactive. I know that it will come to our way later on, but so let's go ahead and do that. You see how this sketch is created in 5 different edges. I want to make it a continuous edge where the dividing lines will not be there. So one easy way to do it is using a tool in Curves Workbench. Now, if you are using FreeCAD right now without any prior experience, you may not have Curves Workbench on your computer. So this is an add-on workbench. You will have to install it manually. Go to Tools and Add-on Manager and search for Curves Workbench, and you will be able to install it from there. Once you install it, you may have to restart your software, and then once it comes back up, the second one it says join curves, and that's what we'll be doing. So select this sketch, it select all the edges and hit join curve. What it does is it hides the sketch underneath and creates a continuous edge. So there is only 2 selectable vertices on this join curve. It will come in handy later on. All right, so that's all we need Curves Workbench on this model. Let's go back to Part Workbench. We have 2 entities on our left panel now. Next step is to create a cross section that I can sweep over on this path, and that I will be creating on XY plane. And here it will be a centered rectangle with rounded corners. So select the center first, and I want to make it like this. So maybe 5 millimeter on the width, hit enter, 10 millimeter on the height, and radius. So we can, so because this is 5 millimeter on the width, our radius can be maximum 2.5 mathematically, but on FreeCAD it will have to be less than 2.5. So we can go 2.49 to the max. So maybe 1.5 in the corner. Yeah, that's a nice round rectangle. I'm happy with that. Let's hit OK, and let's rename that. So sketch handle cross section. Right. Now I want to move that from the origin to one of these vertices that we created earlier. So if you hit AC on the keyboard, it shows the center of the workspace that we have. In part design, it has an origin here. In part workbench, so the origin, you can look at it by hitting AC or going to the view, and here it says toggle axis cross AC. So from that origin, I want to move the sketch to this point, but keep everything same. So what I want to do, I want to select this cross section sketch on the data tab, just like below that tree. I want to come to attachment, come to map mode, and go to deactivate. Select that. Now the three dots appear. So select on that three dots second time. And now I want to select. So where it says selecting, so I can have 4 references to move this sketch from this point to there. We probably won't need all 4 of them. So on the first one, reference 1, it's already pre-selected. So while it says selecting, select the edge. By default, it's moving to the beginning of that edge. If you needed more pointer, you could have 3 more criteria to move the sketch, but for this one I'm happy it just moved over, and then on the attachment mode it says freenet NB, so we are okay. Now let's hit OK. So now the sketch is moved. If you want to see what happened in there, now the attachment, there are map mode, there is something, map reversed is something, and then there is map path parameter. So all these options are available now because we had an attachment to this map, to this sketching. With that, let's go ahead and sweep it over to see actually where we, if we made any progress at all. So what I want to do, I want to go to sweep, and now I want to select the cross section. So here is the cross section. Right at this face, you see why renaming these entities on the left panel pays off, because you have 10 of these items in here. You will be scratching your head like which one is which one. So always rename the entities on the left panel. So here we have cross section. We want to double click on that, so it's moving to the selected profile section, and that's the only profile that we have. And then I want to come to the bottom side. Here it says sweep path, select on that. While keeping that selected, I want to select this sweep path from the 3D space. Selecting it from the panel here will not work. I want to select it from the 3D space and then hit done. And then don't forget to select create solid. I want to take this freenet option off. I don't know why it is default, but anyway, and hit OK. Let's see what happened. There it is. That's our handle, basic handle. So we created our basic handle using a part sweep. All right. Now I want to rename that. Actually, not. Let's not rename it right now. Now I want to have something built in here that will be holding the shaft. Create a sketch on XY plane, and here we could use the offset tool. So we can say, let's offset it by say 40 millimeter. So we can do that. Let's see where it takes us, right? On XY plane, now we have that where it used to be origin right there, 0, 0, 0. Now we have it at 0, 0, 40. So that's another way to move your sketch up and down while you're creating it. All right, let's create our first, and I don't see the center, but I can feel it right there. Tell you what, let's have this view section turned on. Now it's showing me a cross section of this area. So I am at the sketch level, and this time I want to create 2 circles, something like this. I want to bring it back, and yeah, so I want to make this inner circle as much wide as this handle is, so that is going to be 10 millimeter diameter, and this outer circle may be 15 millimeter. Okay, there. So now we have it. my next goal is to give it a 3D shape, and this time this is much simpler, so I'll just add it upward, say 25. All right, that's the goal. However, I think this is a little bit uh, more than what I wanted at the bottom side. I want to move it just a little bit somewhere here. So I can take two routes. I can go to the extrude, and in the placement in position where it says 0, 0, 0, I can make it 10 at the Z. It will move upward, right? That's one way to do it. I want to bring it back to 0 level. What I want to do, because the sketch already has a Z offset to it, I want to make that 50, actually 45. There. So that's much like it. And on the extrude, I want to make the total extrude height little less than 25, maybe 10. Fine. Okay, so there it is. Now I have the handle and the shaft hole, but the hole is being blocked by the handle. So what I want to do, I want to select these two, see if this magic button works. I want to come to the join object. Here we have three tools. I want to, the first tool I want to try is connect objects. And this worked, but not the way that I wanted. I wanted to have this left side there too. Okay, so although we wanted to have that, I guess we could still work with it. We could mirror it over on the other side. So let's keep it. And while we will be mirroring it, and before we do that, maybe work on this end too. I want to make a similar thing on this end so it can hold the horizontal shaft. And this time I want to draw that sketch on YZ plane. So draw that on YZ plane right there. And this is going to be another two circles. Yeah. So this is going to be 10 millimeter diameter, the inner one. The outside 15 will keep the same profile. We could have actually copied and pasted the previous sketch. There. And I want to now bring this over right here. So we will be using this sketch. Maybe hide this connect. Select this sketch that we want to move over and come to map mode. On the three dot, here it says circle edge one. We didn't want to do that. So select that and come here. All right, now you can see that it was vertical here, but it is horizontal now. So we want to make it vertical again. So maybe on this attachment offset in local coordinates. So let's see which one works. We want to move it, rotate it by 90 degrees. So this rotated the wrong direction. That's not what we want. We want to make it 90. There. So we had to do it on around y-axis. Actually, it makes sense. We could have gone from this direction. The y-axis 90 degrees. Now it is facing the right direction. All right. So let's bring the connect back. This one, I want to extrude it on both directions for 10 millimeter to make it symmetric. Apply, close. There. All right. Now let's do the connect operation one more time. Select this connect and select this new extrude and come over here, hit connect object. So this time it did work the way we wanted, which is great. All right. So now we have half of what we wanted. So this is, let's say, half handle, and we want to mirror it over. So select that and come to the toolbar mirror, and we want to use YZ plane. On the mirror plane, come to YZ and hit OK. All right, I can see some overlaps here. Hopefully I will not face the coplanarity issue. I want to select these two halves and make them a fusion. Yeah, the coplanarity did not affect us, and which is a good thing. So that is our first part of this whole assembly build. This is the one that we wanted to build, and we did that right here. So if you wanted to apply fillet, you can do it right now, or you can do it before the mirroring. Let's go ahead and do that. I want to select, because these are continuous edge, I can just select one of those and apply some fillets. Let's say 1 millimeter there. So this is our handle. So this is the final product, and we want to rename it the way we want so that we can recognize it later on. In the next part of this video, I will show you how to build this driving shaft and the driving mechanism.